Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me reviewing a board game, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Wraith in the Giants, which is a game that I've had for a little while and I'm surprised I haven't done a video on it yet, but yep, I'm finally getting around to it. I've done a playthrough of Leviathan Wilds, so I will be talking about Leviathan Wilds a reasonable amount of times here in this video. Actually, have I done a solo playthrough? Hold on. I know I did one with Bear, but I don't know if I posted one solo, but if I haven't, then I'm going to talk about both at the same time. But Wraith in the Giants is a game on the table, so let me go ahead and get our background music started. Because I love my background music. And cool, that's all done and set. Let's go ahead and zoom out so we can talk about Wraith and the Giants. So first and foremost, let me go ahead and walk it through just kind of some of the setup stuff. So I have counters here instead of the health markers. Actually, let me take it back. I'm going to use the health markers that I should be using. Oh no, these are not the same. Oh no, they're not the same. Sorry, I have counters instead of health markers, mainly because it just kind of helped show the values a little bit easier on my playthrough. But I'll use the health markers that the game comes with, these little bits here. So as far as everything goes for setup, you're going to have your Wraith. You have a choice of a few different Wraiths, and those Wraiths are over here. I do have the expansion. I'm not going to talk about how the expansion plays because I haven't fully played the expansion, but I will show the twins here, because the twins are one of the Wraiths that you get. But you choose one of your Wraiths. The base game comes with the young Wraith, the adult Wraith, and the elder Wraith. And as I said before, the expansion comes with the twin Wraiths, so you can do those instead. But we're gonna talk about just from the young Wraith side of things. And you will also choose a giant that you're going to be going against. In this case, I have the Earth Giant set up. But you do have the other elements here. You have a water giant, you have an air giant, you have a fire giant, and then if you have the expansion, you get the metal giants, which again, I'm not going to talk about a ton, but I'll mention in bits and pieces here. And then once you have those, you get the corresponding cards associated with the giant that you're facing. In this case, I have the Earth cards here. And then you get the Wraith, you get their cards. So I have the young Wraith's cards right here. You take those, you shuffle them up, and you're almost ready to go. Continuing on the setup, your Wraith will have a number here. So it says giant health for the Wraith. It says 5, and the giant will also have a wound count here of 30. In this case, a wound count number here. In this case, the giant is 30. So we're gonna add those two numbers of 30 plus 5 because the Wraith that you're fighting will scale a little bit more. So we're gonna have 35 wound markers. So I'm just gonna add those here. It's gonna take me a second. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's going to be 30 health. And then we got 5 as well, so 35. There we go, 35. So it's going to be 35 health. So it's going to be the wound markers for the giant. So the giant has 35 health. And then we're going to take the giant's cards, give them a good shuffle here. And then I'm going to deal out 5 of them out here in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are going to be the giant's action or attack cards essentially. And the giant will be swinging at me with these particular actions as we go along. I'll zoom in on one of these cards here shortly, but right now I'm just going to continue setup. And then finally, we're going to have our Wraith. We're going to have any other special setup. For other Wraiths, there's some special setup for them, but for the young Wraith, very simple, straightforward. I just play with the board here. I'm going to take my little marker, put it on the ground down here, and I'll draw 5 cards from my starting hand. So that's my 5 cards here for my starting hand. And then I will also, yeah, it's a little bit confusing. Okay, I'll talk about it later. But I will also take the rage marker for the giants and put it here. This is a marker that for every time the giant tries to hit me and it misses, it's going to get more and more enraged. That way when it does finally hit me, it's going to be a bigger hit instead of a smaller hit. So that's everything for setup here. We're going to go ahead and just get started by doing a rolling teach, as in I'm going to teach the game as I play a turn or a few turns, and we'll walk through the game. So each of these attack cards up here for the giants, they'll determine what I can actually, what the giant will actually be doing when they attack. So I'll bring one of these cards here. On my green screen, once I turn it back on, there we go. And you see here the card has a few pieces of information. Let me bring a second card up here. Oops, uh-oh, dropping stuff. Bring a second card up here. So looking at these two cards, you'll see some information. For the first part, you'll see the amount of health that this card has. This card takes 7 hits from me to take it out. This card takes 8 hits from me to take it out. You also see the vulnerabilities here. This is a C1, this is an A2, so it's going to be showing me the spots that I have to go and try to punch in order to do damage on these particular cards here. If there's multiple, like if there's multiple C1s for instance, then you have to choose which card is taking the hit. You can split the damage between the two. The rulebook explains in some reasonable detail how that works. Down here, if the giant, or when the giant attacks, they'll attack in these particular spots. So if I'm standing in location A or location C, so if you look here on the map, the giant has spots that are marked. These are all the A spots. The C spots are going to be cutting through here. You can't see the ones behind the card there. The D spots are up here, so on and so forth, with D1, D2, and D3, and all that fun stuff. So if I'm standing on any of the A spots or the C spots, then the giant will attack me successfully and deal 2 wounds to me. That's what that means. And some cards will have special effects. They'll be in text that says things like always active, or when this happens, do this, or when you do damage to here, do that, stuff like that. And then finally, you'll have this symbol here. This symbol only matters at the end of the round when the giant is drawing a new card. It will possibly trigger a second set of attacks, depending on what happens. So we're gonna go ahead and continue playing through, and I'll explain here what the Wraith does. So I'm the Wraith. This is my marker to show where I'm at positionally on the map. This is my board here, and I don't have anything super special going on except for I have my normal fearless actions. Fearless actions, I can spend 1 health, or I can take a damage essentially from the game to activate one of these extra actions that lets me move up 1 space, move down 1 space, or do an attack of 1 damage. I also have these 2 spots for first action row and second action row, and that's going to lead us into how a turn works. So during the course of the game, we'll be going through a round structure of the Wraith will go, and then the giant will go. The Wraith will go, there'll be a refresh phase, and then the giant will go, and then the Wraith, that'll be the end of the first round. Second round, the Wraith will go, then we do a refresh phase, and then the giant will go, and then they have their own refresh phase, and then we keep going. Going forever until one of the losing or winning conditions are met. Of those winning and losing conditions, because I forgot to mention this earlier, the winning condition for me as the Wraith is for me to either deal 3 scars, the number of scars required for the giant, so in this case it's 3, and I'll explain how scars work later, or to deplete the giant's health pool completely. So those are 2 win conditions. I need to do both of those things, one of those 2 things to win. And the lose conditions for me are if I ever need to draw 5 cards and I have no more cards left in my deck or my hand or my discard. The other lose condition is if I take too much damage. So if I have 9 damage on me, so I run out of my health. And then finally, the last losing condition is if I run out of giant cards to draw. That represents the giant has reached the village that they're heading towards to destroy it and cause all kinds of problems. So those are the different conditions. Continuing on for the Wraith turn. The Wraith turn is going to have a few different parts, but those parts are pretty straightforward, as with a lot of things in this game. First thing I'm going to do is I'm looking at my hand, and I'm going to play a card in my first action row, then do the action, and then I'm going to play a card in my second action row, and then do the action. I'll always have 2 different action rows for my action 1 and action 2 here. So in this case, if I'm looking at the board, let's say I want to try to move up. Let's see, what can I hit? I can hit all of A. So let's go and just try to move up to A. So I'm technically on the ground here. I'm not on the giant yet, but I'm going to try to get a movement here. Let's see, I'm going to play this card in my first row. And this card has 2 sections. I'll bring it up on the green screen here. This card has 2 sections. Man, that green screen is not green screening properly. Hold on, let me try to adjust it in the middle of the video. Bad idea, I know. It's always a bad idea. There we go. It's a little bit better. Is it better? No, it's not better. No, it got worse. This is why you shouldn't do things like this live, y'all. All right, I'll zoom in a little bit more and put it back to exactly where it was before and let it be. All right, so besides my failed attempt to try to make that a little bit clearer for us to see, like I said, my camera is having a little bit of trouble focusing as close as it is here. What we're looking at is an action card. It's going to have a few pieces of information here on the left hand side. That's going to be different symbols, and these symbols will stack and add up. As you can see, some of my actions will have an action I can take, and then the value for it will be the number of symbols that are stacked up here. So as I play the game, I'll get more and more of these symbols, so I'll be stronger and stronger as I go along, assuming that I'm still alive here, of course. And then sometimes you have actions like this one that just have a simple number next to them, and that's going to be a move 2. So this one allows me to climb 2 spaces. or I can choose to attack at range 1 for 1 damage. And the range 1 is just default. Whenever you do a range attack, it's always at range 1. But if I had 5 eyes here, or 7 eyes here, then I'll be dealing 7 damage with that 1 arrow shot. So it gets pretty strong and pretty crazy as the game goes along. But for here, I'm going to go ahead and play that card so I can move 2. I can climb up to 2 spaces. I'm going to climb 2 spaces to A2. So I'm currently sitting on A2. And now that I'm sitting on A2, I'm going to go ahead and do an attack. Let's see, one of these can give me an attack, right? Yeah, this can give me an attack. I'm going to do an attack. So this card, similar design language as before. We have our attack symbol with a hand. So we have 1 hand, therefore we will deal 1 damage to the spot. So it's going to be on this card. We will deal 1 wound. We'll take the wound, we'll take the health from the giant and we'll put it on the card, like so. That's how you deal a wound. Now if I am able to deal 8 wounds to this card before this card disappears, then I will be able to flip it over as a scar. And scars are essentially just flip the card over once it's at its health number. And this is going to represent a win condition for me, because remember, if I get 3 of these, 3 scars total, then I win the game. And when the scars are kind of taken off of the conveyor belt row up here, they'll just go over to the side to remind me that I have scars on the enemy. So they don't go away forever. All right, so that's all done. Now we're at the end of the Wraith's turn. Now we're going to the refresh phase for the Wraith. I can choose to discard any of my cards and then draw back up to 5. So let's say I want to discard these 2 cards because I'm not too much of a fan of. Actually, I'll hold on to this one. Yeah, I'm holding to that one. I'm gonna discard this one though because I'm not too much of a fan of it. So it goes to my discard, and then I draw back up to 5. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3. That's it, and that's done. Now we go to the giant phase. Now for evaluating the giant phase, we'll do a few different things. First thing we'll do is we'll check the attack row, and the first card over to the furthest left is what the rulebook says. So I'm gonna follow the rulebook. The far left card, we're gonna look at that card, and if it has no wounds on it, then we activate it. It does have at least 1 wound on it, therefore it does not activate. And when the giant tries to attack, whether it's because the card is wounded or because he missed, and he does not successfully attack, this rage marker will go up. This rage marker basically will basically establish that when the giant does finally hit me, they'll deal more damage and I'll have more consequences as a result of their attack. So I have to be very, very cautious of how that pans out here as the Wraith, because I only have 9 health and I got to take down all 35 of that health or do a lot of wounds. So I want to keep myself nice and limber and be moving around as the shadow that I am. Continuing on, the giant has tried to attack. After they try to attack with their leftmost card, whether they attack or not, the card will disappear, and the wounds that are on it will also go out of the game, and they'll just go out of the game here. And then all the cards will shift down, and then we draw the top of the card, or top of the deck. When we draw the card at the top of the deck, we'll look at the card again. You'll notice that it has this special symbol here. This special symbol here will trigger every other card that's here on the board with that also has that symbol. It will not trigger itself, but it will, so we treat it as if this card doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is just that symbol. So that symbol currently matches this one here, so therefore the giant will take an additional attack with this one. Now if the giant had multiple matches, then the giant will take an attack with each one of those from left to right. So they'll start with this one, they'll move over to the next one, move over to the next one, until they're all evaluated. But in this case, the giant is attacking with this one because it matches that symbol. And this one says if the Wraith is in A or C, then they'll deal 2 wounds. So in this case, I am in A, so therefore I'm going to be dealt 2 wounds, so I'll take 2 hits. And additionally, because the giant is enraged, we're going to also lose a card out of the game from the top of our deck. So this is going to go out of the game. And this is going to go all the way back down to its non-rage side. Now, if the rage marker had built up a little bit higher to, let's say, here, then I would lose 1 card, 1 health, and another card before it finally goes down. Then finally, if the rage marker reaches the top and then I get hit, I'll be stunned, and then I'll deal I'll also take all the consequences from here. I'll be forced to move down. I think that's all the way down to the ground, but I can double check. Another 2 wounds and lose 2 cards. Stunned basically means I play a card here in my first row during my next turn, but I do not get the effects for it. I get the symbols, but I don't get the effect for it, whether it's a heal or whether it's anything else. So I have to be very careful about not getting stunned. But in this case, I took a hit. It wasn't great, but I'm not dead. So we're going to continue going. Now the giant's all done and evaluated, we continue on with our turns. I'm going to go ahead and just make some reckless moves here because this is just a little demo. We're not doing like a full-on game. So as a result, let's see. We got eyes up there. I have another eye range here. Let's see, what can I attack? I can attack anything in A for 10 hits. And that's based on this card here. So that's a vulnerable spot. Another thing about vulnerable spots is that these are the only spots that I can attack. So it's not necessarily just a function of I want to hit the things that are near me, but I also need to make sure I pay attention to what's available for me to attack, and then I can attack them. And then additionally, sometimes cards like this will come out. For the most basic enemy here, this is kind of the only special passive that he has, that the giant has. But sometimes cards like this come out where it says, if this card has 1 wound on it, take an extra wound if wounded by the giant this turn. Actually, this one has 2 effects then. The other effect that this one has, that this giant has, is it'll protect the card next to it. So it'll say for vulnerable spots that take damage. Actually, let me just find the card so I can show you the exact wording. Oh, no, it says on this card here. Yeah, sorry, it's in the bottom section. Which says weak spots adjacent to this card are dealt 1 fewer wounds when attacked. So that's going to be weak spots adjacent to this card. That means that this card, which has E1 listed, is going to take 1 less wound whenever I attack it. And then in the future, when we do get another card here, then those 2 cards will be protected or guarded by 1. So that's what that means. All right. Anyway, so we check for things like those effects, so we can kind of know what we can try to do and what we can try to take advantage of. In this case, I can try to hit A, and I think I'm just going to try to hit A twice. So we're gonna do that. Ooh, and we have a great situation here too. So I'm going to go ahead and play this card here, which is going to deal, it's a range attack that's dealing 2 damage. And I have to choose 1 away for myself, so I cannot choose the spot that I'm at, but I can choose A3 or A1 here. Either one, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to choose to hit A3, and we're going to deal 2 damage to it. So we're going to take 2 health from the giant. And we're going to put it on the card we just hit. So we dealt 2 damage to it. And then I'm gonna take a damage myself. I'm gonna take an injury, take a wound, so I can deal 1 more damage just because I can. And then I'm gonna go down here and play my next card, which I will play. Oh, I'm gonna take another injury, take another wound, so I can move up 1 space. And then I'm gonna play fireworks. So the way fireworks work is essentially every spot that the spot that you're on and all adjacent spots will be dealt 2 damage, which is a pretty strong card. So I want to try to be in a good spot to use it. The reason why I decided to exert myself or push myself a little bit to move up, I should probably move up 1 more space, shouldn't I? Let me see. Because we're currently hitting C3 is available, which is way over here. It's too far. E1's available. That's too far. All of A is available. All of D is available, and C1's available. Yeah. So I'm gonna exert myself because we're not playing a serious game anyway. So I now have 5 wounds. I'm gonna move up 1 space, and then we're gonna activate our fireworks. Your fearless actions you can use as many times as you want in between or before or after any of these first and second actions, but you have to be mindful of your health. And I'll show. I'll talk about it now. Instead of playing a card face up like so, you can choose to play your card face down, and you'll notice this little plus symbol here. And that's treated as a heal. You get to heal 1 of your wounds. That's one of the few ways to heal in this game. When you're playing the young Wraith, that's the only way to heal in this game. But anyway, I'm doing fireworks here. So with the fireworks, we're going to deal 2 damage to C1, because C1's right there. Oh, sorry, it's coming from the giants. And then we're going to deal 2 damage to D1, which is not available. Oh, D is available, so we will deal damage there. And then we're going to deal 2 damage to C2, which C2 is not available. Then we're going to deal 2 damage to A3, which A is available, so we're going to deal 2 damage there. So it's a pretty powerful attack. I was able to get into a reasonable spot. That actually helps out a lot. So another thing I didn't mention before is that any card that has a wound on it will never trigger for an attack. So it is beneficial for me to try to get as many of these wounded as possible so I can try to protect myself and also try to position myself in a way to where I won't get smacked by the giant, because that's going to hurt if they hit me. Especially since I'm so low in health. I got 4 health left here now. All right, continue. But I've done a good chunk of damage to the Wraith or to the Giant already, so I feel like I'm doing good as a Wraith. And let's continue. So I'm done with my turn. I'm gonna choose to hold on to this fireworks. Let's see, should I hold on to it or should I throw it away? Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna hold on to all the cards I have here, and I'm gonna draw 2 cards. All right, now that's done. The Giants are gonna go. They're gonna attack with this card here, C1 on the leftmost side. Leftmost side. This card has a wound on it, so therefore they will not attack with it, but they will become enraged. And then we slide down all the cards, and we draw a new one. And this symbol is going to be this symbol, but this one has a wound on it, so therefore they don't attack, but they do become enraged because of that. And now we're done. We move on to the next round, and we just kind of keep going with this over and over and over until the game is over. I can probably take out the Giant maybe in a few turns. Let me see if I can try to get a wound on this one, because I just need to do 5 more damage. Let's see if I can be able to do that. Oof. I don't think I can do that. I got attacks here on hands and attack here on hands. I got a firework. Will that do anything? Let's see, D2 is available, C3 is available. Yeah, no, those are not reachable for me in a reasonable spot here. So therefore, I will just go ahead and guess I'm doing this. So I'm doing this to attack. Oh, I need to move first, don't I? Yeah, this spot's no longer available for me to attack. So therefore, I will spin to health. Look at me go. Spin a health to drop down 1, and then I will now attack with just 1 attack. So I will deal 1 because I'm using the hand side. Actually, is it worth taking the damage? No, it's not worth taking damage for that. I'm not going to do that. Let me be reasonable. Even though I'm being reckless, let me be still reasonable. So I'm going to play this card instead. Ooh, better. I'm going to play this card instead to just do the drop down. Now for drop down, for whatever it's called, I think it's fall. Let me see. It is called, yeah, drop. For dropping, I can drop as many spaces as I want, as long as I'm going into the downward position, downward direction. But in this case, I'm just going to drop down 1 space because that's all I want to do. And I think I should be safe. Oh no, this one's going to hit me. And this one's going to hit me too, potentially. It's not good. All right, anyway, we're taking risks. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an attack with this card because we're going to deal 3 damage to him. So we're dealing 3 damage to A. So that's at 8 now, almost down. You know what? I'm gonna spend 2. I'm gonna take 2 wounds on myself to deal 2 more wounds to the Giant. And there we go. The card is now finally defeated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. So we got 10 wounds on the Giants, and now we will flip this as a scar, and we got our first scar. I just wanted to show a scar. So all scars do is essentially, that's one of the win conditions here for me. If I get 3 scars total for the current Giant, the Earth Giant, then they'll be defeated. And we just kind of keep going on and on and on until the game's over. As you see, I kind of exerted myself quite a bit. I only have 2 hit points left. So just 1 smack and then I'm done for. So yeah, I think any 1 attack is going to take me out. I don't think I'm long for this world. Let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and play it out. So now I draw cards. Now the Giant's turn. We're going to swing with this and miss because we're not having any card free of damage. And then we move this down. We draw our next card. And oh, I'm alive. Hey! The symbol didn't match, so therefore I'm alive, and I can go again. And of course, on this turn, I'm going to be super cautious. I'm going to heal twice. So I'm going to heal, and then, let's see, am I going to be smacked if I stay here? There is a good chance I'll get hit if I stay here. If I can get up to C, I'll be safe. So I just need to move up 1 space. Okay, that's easy. I'm just going to do this to move up. 1 space. That's it. Sorry. I don't want to get too deep into it. So we're gonna keep on going with our review here. So now that I've kind of showed how the game flows and how everything works, let's go ahead and talk about the review for things that I like, things that I didn't like, and some of the other stuff in between there. So first and foremost, I like this kind of game. I like this kind of game in the sense of, you know, you're kind of climbing a thing, basically playing Shadows of the Colossus, a game that I was never able to play. I have opportunities to play it because I have emulation and I can do all that stuff, but also I just never can find the time to sit down and play it. But I remember when Shadows of the Colossus was talked about back in the days and thinking, wow, that game's amazing, I want that game. I never got that game. I don't think it would have been my genre of game at the time. But this is kind of one of those, like, you know, climbing a giant, you know, smacking around the giant and trying to, like, you know, not be squished by the giant. And it really, really gives like a really good system, in my opinion, because in this game, your deck is kind of your life. I mean, you have life points as well, and you know you don't want to take too many hits. But your deck is kind of your life too. And as you get hit by the giant in various situations, you end up losing cards. So you lose cards because of that, and then you also technically lose cards as you play them here because they're stuck out here forever as the game plays out. So the longer the game goes, the more cards you have, and the harder it becomes to kind of get the exact actions you want because you've played them previously. But then in addition to that, as you build up your stuff, you'll be able to start doing super powerful moves. So like for instance, if I get a few more eyes up here, and then I get a nice little range attack that yeah, this right here. You know, by the time I'm on this phase of the round, I'm dealing a whole range attack with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Like that's crazy. Just in one attack dealing 7 damage, that's enough to take out some of these cards already by themselves. You also have the challenge that comes along with this of trying to position yourself in a way to where the giant cannot hit you. And this game gives, in my opinion, like a really interesting motivation for you to not get hit. Because the more you don't get hit, the more the giant's going to go up in rage. And then the higher they go up in rage, the worse it's going to be if you do get hit. So you're really, really looking to kind of say, okay, how can I smack the giant here, maybe get a wound on some of these cards so I don't take damage, and then also not get hit. And that to me is a pretty fantastic like little puzzle. Because technically speaking, if you can get a wound on every single one of these cards, the giant's never going to attack you. However, as you can see, some of these cards end up being pretty far away just by luck of the draw. And you end up having situations towards like, okay, I really want to hit this card over here, but that one's doing a wound if I stay there. So you're kind of running into the risk of, okay, I can kind of risk it. I know they're not going to attack me with their initial attack because I know what attack's coming up, which is nothing in this case. They're going to swing at nothing and they're not going to be enraged. Oh, they are going to be enraged because of that. And then this is going to go to the side as a counter to show me that they have 1 wound out of 3. But then when that next card comes out, like this could trigger multiple things. Like if the symbols line up in a way that's really bad for you, that could be really devastating, and it can even end your run immediately. So this game kind of gives you a little bit of push your luck with that aspect of things, because you're trying to manage what attacks the enemy is doing, what attacks the giant is doing, while also trying to say, okay, how much am I willing to risk that, you know, staying on spot, on spot C, staying on spot C is not going to trigger. In this case, there's no C's out here, so I can kind of game it out. But if I were standing on spot B, for instance, there's 1, 2 spots attacking B. There's 1, 2 spots attacking A. There's 1 spot attacking E. There's 2 spots attacking D. 2 spots attacking E, and then 2 spots attacking D. So it just ends up being like, okay, I clearly have no place to really be safe to try to punch the giant and also stay safe with the escape. So maybe I can just go ahead and spend a health now, move into a better spot, do a little punch, and then move away with another card. And it's just really brilliant in my mind of like trying to like puzzle out, how do I get my first action to be effective? How do I get my second action to be effective? And then also as the symbols build up, you really want to play certain cards in certain rows. So for instance, if I have a bunch of eyes up here and I got a nice little range attack coming up, I can try to make it more powerful by putting more eyes up here. But sometimes the attacks, or sometimes the cards that have eyes on them are not convenient. Like for instance, this one, it might be better for me to do a move. If there's a bunch of eyes up here and no lungs, then this gives me just 1 movement. That might not be enough for me to do what I want to do. So now I got to either exert myself by, taking a hit so I can do a fearless action, or by trying to delay it by a turn or 2 so I can get to the right spot where I need to be to do a big attack. And it just plays out very well. And this is all with just the young Wraith. I haven't even talked about the last part of my my gushing review here, which is the different giants that you have. All the giants play in a different way. I don't want to say play in a different way, but they add different things for you to consider, different attacks for you to consider. There is a difficulty ranking for each one. I think the game gives you a list to say these are the giants to go through. So I have it right here. So it says, start fighting the earth giant, then fight the water giant, then fight the air giant, then fight the fire giant, with the fire giant being the hardest, presumably. And that's really nice because you get a nice variety of different giants, a nice variety of different things to climb and fight all around. If I bring out the fire giant here, you'll notice that instead of being something you climb vertically, it's something you also climb vertically, but it's more horizontal with how the board layout is. And I have different effects. There's also a different module you can add, which is for footholds. And footholds, essentially, there's certain triggers that can happen. If you go into a certain foothold, it'll do damage to you. You have to be very mindful of that. It'll make it more treacherous for you to climb and run around. And that's really neat. And then on top of that, you have different wraiths. The wraiths, there's different wraiths. There's 3 different wraiths in the base game. There's a young wraith who they essentially have this deck. They're very straightforward. The rules are very simple. You have the adult wraith, which the adult wraith, that's where you start getting some of your fun in to the game. But the adult wraith has these special boxes here. And these special boxes are when the giants, you take the health from the giant and you put it on these spots. And then as you're dealing damage to the giant, you get to choose which of these boxes that health is coming from. And once one of these boxes empties out, then you get to do the action that's printed here on the board. And these actions are pretty strong. And then once you've activated the action, then you refill, taking health from the giant, putting it back here on the board to fill up the spot. And just doing a little close up here of what someone's actions are. One of those is if you are able to deal 3 damage to the giant and take it from this box, you get to do a leap of faith. So move to any foothold or the ground. So you just get to teleport, which is pretty nice. And then some of these which are really nice, like this one, force back. This round, the first giant card does not attack and a new giant card isn't drawn. So you just basically get to pause it for a whole round. But again, you have to kind of commit to putting the health in those spots. Taking the health from those spots. And another thing that's actually really cool to balance this out for the adult wraith, besides the fact that the giant's gonna have plus 15 health, which is crazy, because this one's plus 5, this is plus 15, is the simple fact that you also will kind of limit yourself as you go, because the lower the giant's health total health pool is, the less effects you'll be able to use. So for instance, if the giant runs out of health over here, as I'm putting, refilling spots back up, then we get to the point to where I will no longer be able to do an action if once it's cleared out. I have to basically kind of pick and choose when I want to do an action. So it just kind of gives you an interesting puzzle, and that's just with the adult wraith. The elder wraith is essentially similar to the adult wraith, and since they have those boxes, but they also have spell cards. And the spell cards are essentially, you play them for their normal effects, like the other cards we saw before. But there's also like text at the bottom, and you can you trigger that text as well. So that can give you the ability to kind of be creative and be slippery. You'll notice that the adult wraith has 7 health, the young wraith has 9, and the elder wraith only has 5. So that's a big thing to consider when you're playing with the different wraiths. And they also have their own decks, which have different cards and different abilities and different symbols that they have show up. I think the adult wraith and the elder wraith, they have the mind symbol that shows up, which I guess shows their wisdom or something like that, their knowledge. And it's really neat. It's just really neat. Also, I like the artwork a lot. I forgot to mention that part. So this is just in the base game. Like, a lot of positives for this game, a lot of things that I really liked about this game. The expansion adds the twins, which are I don't know, like, I feel like, their health matches the adult wraith health, so I guess they're adults. But also the twins, you have 2 different markers that you're running around, so you have twice the number of spots that you can possibly hit from. But as you're playing the twins for free, every action you get to put down a little marker, which I have right here. And this marker will allow the twins to do those things. So you get to choose which twin's doing which thing, and then you kind of put the marker down. And the cool thing about it is, like, the game will keep going, but as you go, you'll start to see that you start filling out spaces. Maybe you'll get actions you don't want to do, like take a wound and then move 2. Like, you really don't want to do that. So then you do that, and now you can't get access to that action. And it's just really cool about how this game gives you different ways to kind of play a similar game. And I really appreciate that greatly. Again, I can go on and on and on forever. Like I said, the different variety that you have in the giants, the different variety you have in the wraiths. It's just really fun and really nice. And I'll talk about my comparison with this and Leviathan Wilds after I get to my negatives. As far as the negatives go, I will say that this game does have a ramp effect. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that this game can end very fast. I've had, if I recall correctly, even though I was playing the rules incorrectly, as in I was improperly removing cards from the middle instead of removing only from the leftmost side, I did have situations to where when a new card came out, it triggered like 3 or 4 different attacks, and they all hit me, and it just ended up being bad. It just ended up being bad. I ended up having no health. I ended up just dying immediately, and you know, sometimes the luck of the draw can be your maker in those situations, and that's not great. There's also a ramp issue on the side of damage that you do. As I showed before, it's really cool. Like, it feels really cool to build up all those eyes and then do like a really big range attack. But then it kind of just makes it super easy on easier giants like the Earth Giant. When you know you're towards the middle late game in your playthrough, and you have that one melee attack that can now do 9 damage in just one swing, and it just ends up being wild. Of course, the other giants will have some extra ways to make them more tough for you to take out, some things for you to contend with, some things that might move you around or make you slip or something like that for the ice giant or the water giant. But ultimately, it just feels like you get to a certain power level in this game, and then you just start having a power fantasy at that point. And that's cool, that's neat, but I'm putting it as a negative because I feel like that sense of ramp, it goes from literally, I feel like I can't do anything, to, oh my gosh, I can just take him out in one shot. And that just feels, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I want to kind of slog it out, you know, just kind of feel like I'm progressively working my way towards it. And I guess in this game, I do feel like I'm progressively working my way towards it. It's just, you know, going from round 1 to round 7, the amount of damage that you can do is just wild as far as how fast it grows. So again, I'm putting it as a negative mostly because I guess I just kind of want the game to last longer. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say, is that the game ends up being shorter because of that. But also, the game does not overstay its welcome, so I guess we can put that in the neutral column for now. Sure, whatever. All right, I mentioned before that I was going to talk about Leviathan Wilds in this game, and I will say that I much prefer to play this game, but I prefer the character ideas in Leviathan Wilds. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, like, I like the way that this game kind of builds up, even though I was just complaining about it and putting it in my negative column about how you build up your different skills, and you can trigger bigger abilities as you play the right cards in the right spots, or draw the right cards in the right spots. And you also have the option to kind of push yourself, you know, take some damage, put yourself at risk of losing the games faster, just to give yourself some extra actions. That feels really good. And I think in Leviathan Wilds, one of the things that really doesn't feel great is, unless you're playing the game two-handed solo, which I think is the better way to play it. I think Leviathan Wilds, in my opinion, is a one-player, two-handed solo game. Not a true solo game, but I'm playing 2 different characters with 2 different decks, or 2 different setups, and I'm playing them against the giant. Versus or a 2-player game where you have, you know, yourself and somebody else. You're playing the game. I think that's where the game works best. Where scaling anything beyond that doesn't feel great. But even in those situations, I feel like Leviathan Wilds moves a lot slower. So it puts me in a weird spot, because on the one hand, I do think this game ends too fast. Like, I would like for this game to last an hour, but then on the other hand, I feel like Leviathan Wilds lasts about 2 hours, so it's like maybe 30 minutes too long for Leviathan Wilds. And the reason why I keep talking about Leviathan Wilds in this game is because Leviathan Wilds, for those who don't know, is a game where you're also fighting a giant, and you're kind of climbing stuff. And I have, I'll go ahead and grab the box here. I have Leviathan Wilds plus the expansion, which is the, oh geez, what's the name of it? It's on my shelf somewhere. Is it on my shelf? Oh, there it is. Deep Veil. So I have Leviathan Wilds plus the Deep Veil expansion. And like I said, I think I've done a playthrough of Leviathan Wilds already. But I haven't... Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did a playthrough of that already. I've definitely done with at least Bear, which is just my friend that I do board game streaming stuff with. But comparing Leviathan Wilds to this, I like the idea of the characters in Leviathan Wilds. I just feel like some of the combinations are just losers. Whereas in Wraith and the Giants, I don't feel like any of the Wraiths are losers. You can always do something to win. I just, and when I say losers, let me be more specific. Some combinations are clearly going to be better than others for Leviathan Wilds. It gives you a lot of combinations to play around with and experiment with. And it could just be an experience situation to where I'm not experienced enough with this game. Whereas with this game, because it does play so quickly, and because it is a solo-only game, I do have a lot of fun just kind of playing, like, you know, 2 or 3 different iterations of it, trying out the adult Wraith and then trying out the elder Wraith and see how they play differently with the giant they're facing. So it could be chalked up to an experience thing, but I will say that this game definitely has a higher learning curve, which is a good and bad thing, because it means it's probably a longer, more deep game for you to play. And also, I think this game just maybe stays on the table as 30 minutes too long, in my opinion. So as a result of that, comparing these two, I would much rather play Wraith and the Giants solo than play Leviathan Wild solo. Also, setup is a lot simpler for this one. it's not that much simpler, but it's a lot more simple. I mean, you need your cards and your little markers and everything, but for Leviathan Wilds, you gotta take the decks, you gotta shuffle them, you gotta figure out which ones you want to play, and then you gotta, get the enemy out. It's a whole thing. It's a whole episode. So, again, I'm mentioning both Leviathan Wilds and Wraith and the Giants because they both kind of deal with that. I'm a small character fighting a giant, or trying to redirect a giant situation, and they fit into the similar categories. I was also going to say they also released around the same time. I think Leviathan Wilds is maybe 2 years older than Wraith and the Giants, but maybe Renegade Games saw Leviathan Wilds and said, hey, we got to do that, and then they just kind of stole the idea. So if they did, that's cool. But yeah, that's going to be rounding out my little review here. So overall, if I had to give this game a ranking out of 10, I would give this game a solid 7. I really want to go to 7.5, but I feel like that's a little bit unfair. I feel like Leviathan Wilds definitely has a higher ceiling when it comes to score-wise, but as far as what score I want to give it immediately, this game for Wraith and the Giants is definitely a solid 7 for me. Let me check my app to see if I did actually give it a rating. 1 second. Because I did this last time and I actually did give the game a rating, and I felt bad because my rating was lower that I just gave. Wraith and the Giants. I do not seem to have given this game a rating. Yep, I have not given this game a rating. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So the reasons for giving it a 7 out of 10 are just that I just like the experience. I do feel like it is shorter than I wanted it to be, but that's also I guess a plus, a pro, because it means the game is just not spending its time on the table, just taking up all the space. The decision space that you have is just enough to kind of scratch that itch for just kind of running up and just climbing a giant behemoth and then trying to take them down. So that feels pretty fun. And the character variety, especially since I have the expansion with the twins here, the character variety in the base game was already enough, but with the expansion it adds another character and another giant, the metal giants, and that's really cool. And I just kind of appreciate the things that are being done here. So I think overall, Wraith and the Giants is definitely worth the entry cost. Man, how much did I pay for this? Let me see. Let me go back. One momento. I gotta go into the app here. I think I paid $40 for Wraith and the Giants. And I think I paid $25 for the expansion. So let's see. I paid $25 for the game. Really? Wow. Okay, yeah. I super think it's a great value. $25 is a great value. I don't know if it's still $25, but I paid $25 for my copy, apparently. And then for Wraith and the Giants, A New Dawn, which is the expansion, I did not mark how much I paid for that one, but I'm pretty sure I paid... at this point, I don't know if I paid 20 or 25. Let me look up Renegade Games. I'm making a big deal about this because I think this is a really good value, and I'm actually shocked this is only $25. Sorry, Wraith. So Wraith and the Giants is currently $35. Okay, that's fair. And the expansion is $20. Okay, I guess that's fair. I apparently paid $25 for it. I don't know. I don't know if I just got a better deal for it than anybody else, but I think $35 is even reasonable. I would argue $40 is kind of my upper limit for how much I would pay for this game. But I do think it's a lot of fun. I do think it's really great. It's a really great experience going in. And if you've never played something like Shadows of the Colossus, where you're trying to climb up a giant and have this epic battle with them, this definitely scratches that itch. It feels like I'm kind of playing that whole, climbing up the giant, trying to figure out how to move and dodge the attacks, and they're just like a giant behemoth. You can see their attack coming from a mile away, but they're also unpredictable. You don't know exactly which attack, and that I think is pretty neat. Pretty fun, and definitely well deserving of a 7 out of 10 for me. That does put it into the bulk of the rest of my games that are on my shelf, which I'll definitely make a video sometime down the road about my whole ranking system here. But for now, I will quit my yapping, and I will go ahead and close out the video here. Hopefully this video has been useful and enjoyable and informative for all those watching. Wraith and the Giants, a game that I don't know why I haven't done a playthrough of yet, but honestly, I got a few other games that I really need to get to do a playthrough and video of. More specifically, I need to do the Campfire Delve series. I'll try to work on that here soon, but like I said, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, I will see y'all whenever.